Why is Anthony Albanese destroying an Australian family for Donald Trump? It's the Trump administration that indicted Dan Duggan in 2017 for something they're accusing him of doing in 2012. Why did it take 5 years to indict him? Because nobody considered it serious until Donald Trump came to power with an agenda to provoke a fight with China, and they're making an example of him for that agenda. So it's purely political, which is why the Americans are going after Dan Duggan. The problem is what the Australians, the Albanese government, is doing to help them. They have approved the extradition despite it going against the law. Number one, they have no jurisdiction. Dan Duggan, the law they're applying to Dan Duggan is a law that applies to Americans. He's an Australian citizen. He became an Australian citizen in 2012 before he provided this training. So jurisdiction doesn't apply. They are also doing this against the principle of dual criminality. All extraditions require that the crime the person's being chased for must be a crime in both countries. We don't have the law in Australia that Dan Duggan is being charged under. So it's against that principle of dual criminality. Thirdly, the Australian authorities, in order to try and meet the requirement of dual criminality, are citing a law that they say does apply, except it was passed in 2018. Hello? For a crime that he's accused of in 2012, they're citing a law that didn't exist until 2018? In other words, they're making it retrospective? That's against all principles of justice. Now, the Duggan family have been absolutely broken financially by this action against Dan Duggan. They're a family of 8 beautiful Australian citizens, and they are being destroyed. They are being torn apart. They're broke financially. The children are traumatized. The younger children are suffering mental health disorders, just so that our cowardly, gutless Prime Minister can kiss up to Donald Trump. Australians should be outraged at this, and they should get behind the Duggan family and help them. I'm going to put a link below to a release that the Citizens Party put out this week, explaining this in a bit more detail, and a link to where you can help them financially. They've got to raise $300,000 between now and the 26th of August, when Dan Duggan will have his final federal court hearing. They are not allowed to sell their own property to fund this. The Americans have put a caveat on it. The Australian government is paying the legal fees for the American side. The taxpayer, we the taxpayer, are paying for these bastard Americans to pursue this Australian family. So only the Australian people will help the Duggans. Please get behind them. This is a very, very important case